Oh my gosh, so I love journaling. I have my own notebooks and my own journal. This journal was created in a season that I was looking for outside validation. And it's just like the three things that are important to me, not the to do list, but what really matters, something that I'm grateful for, something that I'm proud of, something that I dream of, and something that I pray for. Something simple but effective. I have been using it for the past 5 years and it has helped me, and now I hope that it helps somebody else. I also have cute notebooks, sloths, butterflies, so you can check them out at lifewithfrancy.com/shop. The link will be in the description of the episode. Hello, welcome to Life with Francy podcast, a place where you will find all type of conversation like mental health, self-love, self-care, trauma, hobbies, and more. With this podcast, I want to create a community where we support one another in business and personal life. Hope you enjoy this episode. Now, let's get the show started. Today's conversation was thanks to Podmatch, an amazing community for podcast hosts and podcast guests to do great collaborations like this one. They also have tools and resources for anybody in the podcasting community. On today's episode, I have the pleasure to talk to Suzy Hardy, who is a certified stress management and anxiety coach. As the former co host of the Successful Food Heals podcast, Suzy knows a thing or two about natural healing, wellness, mind body connection after having overcome her own anxiety that started in childhood. She is passionate about teaching others how to slay stress and alleviate anxiety. You know, that's my jam too. So I can't wait to start this conversation. Welcome.
Uh,
Tell us, what is life with you?
Hi, Francie. So nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Life is good. It's a stressful time in the world. And, I've dealt with anxiety and stress through all my life. That have learned how to have to manage it on my own when doctors and therapists and medications just didn't do the trick. And so that's what I do now is that I share those tools with the world.
I love that. Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Absolutely. So my first panic attack was when I was about 8 years old. I didn't know what was going on. I had my parents had some, marriage troubles, and I wasn't really aware of what's going on. And we went out to dinner together right after my dad said, "Your mom's going to divorce me. Let's go to dinner." And I was like, what? And I was 8. And I didn't really know what was going on. We were in this busy, crowded, loud restaurant. And all of a sudden, I felt all this anxiety come up. I felt like I needed to run out of there. I got afraid that I was going to throw up. That's what I was feeling, even though I hadn't eaten yet. My head started to spin out. And I thought, well, if I throw up in public, I'm going to be really embarrassed and I just got to get out of here. And so my fight or flight reflex kicked in. And I just said, I have to get out of here. And that was my first experience with a panic attack at a very young age. And general anxiety and panic attacks have come up and interrupted my life, interrupted my joy, interrupted being able to be present at job interviews, on dates, affected my work performance. I was a professional actress, would affect my auditions. And so, I started to realize that I needed to take control of this. I needed to be able to find ways to manage it. And as an adult, I have a bachelor's in psychology, but as an adult, I would just research, like, what's going on here with my body? Why is this happening? And what can I do? Because the doctors and therapy is great. I recommend therapy for everybody, but I didn't find relief from my anxiety in therapy. I started to find different techniques, different tools. Journaling, as you know, is wonderful to really understand what the heck is going on. What is triggering this reaction in my body? And so, it's been a lifelong journey. And now I want to help others. I've successfully been able to conquer it. I want to help others do the same because there's no reason for people to suffer. And it's prevalent. It's the world over. Like every time I mention to people, I'm a stress and anxiety coach, they're like, oh, I need you. And with everything going on in the world, it's just, it's kind of crazy right now. So I'm happy to help people. in sharing what I know.
Oh my gosh, and thank you so much. Yes, we need more people like you, and your mission is truly needed, as that's part of my story and part of my mission, because people that deal with anxiety, like they get it. Logic doesn't matter. Nothing matters at that moment when you're having it. Everything feels so real. Everything is huge, even though you're no, like, no, this, stop, calm down, whatever. You have to, but anyways, tools and resources. How do you deal with anxiety as a child?
You
Was
know,
you able to get some help, or did you know? Did Was you able to get some help?
eventually, I was a highly sensitive kid. So not only did that happen, and my parents never got divorced, I was freaking out over nothing. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Uh, but I was also in the process of changing schools, which a lot of kids go through. It's stressful, you know. Our bodies are meant, or our bodies are telling us when we have those reactions, like something is wrong, there's something to be afraid of. And yeah, when we have change, any change is stressful, even if it's a good change, marriage, a birth of a baby. Back to your question, did I get help? I eventually did. I didn't at the time. What happened was I was very, very stressed and freaked out the entire summer. I stopped eating because I was so nervous all the time. Lost a lot of weight, and I was a skinny kid to begin with. And then by the time fall rolled around and I went to my new school, and I was like, everything's fine. There's, I was okay. But my nervous system was kind of set up for that. I think being a highly sensitive person, I was always kind of geared towards that to begin with. And I eventually got help, but not immediately. And like I said, like the therapy and I've been a psychiatrist, I've been to many therapists. I've also had depression in order to manage this. And the psychiatrist wanted to give you medication, which didn't really work for me. A lot of anxiety medications, especially Xanax, which is amazing, really works. You also cannot, it's not a permanent solution. It's highly, highly addictive. It's meant for, the break glass in case of emergency situations, which I was using it for, but even then, they don't even like to prescribe it anymore. I actually got cut off from it. Like I'd always have a prescription of a very low dose of Xanax. I'd break it in half. I'd take it only when I really, really needed it. And my doctor said, I can't give it to you anymore. And I said, why? She said, well, it turns out it's very addictive. It's listed as a Schedule 4 substance, meaning low chance of addiction. Nope. It turns out it's very addictive. And because of the opioid epidemic, doctors that got, held liable for that, they want to stay away from anything that's addictive. And I don't want to be addicted to pharmaceuticals anyway, but they really didn't have any other options. And so there's a lot of, when I help people with stress management and anxiety, you have to look at it in many ways. It's not just, here's a pill. There's something going on. Your body is telling you, I am afraid. And it can be a real threat or it can be an imagined threat. Most people, it's imagined. Most of it's coming from our thoughts, our fears, our worry of the future, our fear of the future. And so you have to look at it in many, many ways. The first thing that you need to do is you need to list out what is stressing you. You need to list out your anxiety triggers. And if you don't know them, get a journal from Francy and start writing, because because you will figure it out. You just have to do some delving into your own mind and your own heart and figure out what is stressing me out. Is it my dogs? Is it my kids? Is it my work? Is it my marriage? Is it the world at large? Which, let's face it, ever since COVID, like everybody has that. You have to figure out, you have to list it out. And then there's certain things that you can change, fix, address. And there's ones that you absolutely can't. Like the stuff larger in the world that we can't change, politics and the state of the financial institutions, but we can control our own lives, our own zones. We can say I'll give you a small example. My dogs are two adorable mini sheepadoodles, and they have a lot of energy. And just before this podcast, I told Francy I had to shove them in the bedroom because all of a sudden they decided to start playing, and it was stressing me. I'm like, oh, they can't be making this noise during the podcast. Well, I could put them in the bedroom and then they calm down, they take a nap. There's small things that you can address. The other larger things you have to let go. That's number one. Number two, really easy, is you got to address your nutrition. There are certain supplements, there are certain minerals, vitamins that our body needs in order for our nervous system to function properly. For example, if you're low in magnesium, which is a water-soluble mineral that our body uses up all the time, if you don't have enough of it, or if you are in times of stress, your body's going to use it faster. But if you don't replenish it, your nervous system is not going to calm down. Same thing with B vitamins. B vitamins are used by the nervous system, especially in times of stress. So there's a lot of there's herbs that can support calm. So there's a lot of things you can do in the realm of your nutrition to help support your body be relaxed. And then there's a lot of other tools, more mental, more techniques that I teach in my courses to help people deal with the other stuff, the deeper stuff.
Yes, I love that you are speaking my language when it comes to anxiety and the coping mechanisms to how to deal with it. And I love that we have in common with the journaling. I mean, that was the only way I was, for me, a little bit of my story is just 6, 7, I don't know, I lost count. More than 5 years ago, I had my first panic attack at work, and that was it. Like, I was like, oh, what is this? It has never happened to me before. Like, I was screaming to myself, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, because I didn't know what the hell was happening. I'm just at work, excuse my language. And then so, after that, of course, it's breakdown after breakdown. I've been 2 years free, almost 2 years free of breakdowns, where I have anxiety attacks, not panic attacks, not where there's no logic, there's no nothing going on. I have to, the world's gonna end. So, but little by little, with journaling in 2019, I got into planners. And that was a huge difference because it just showed me the things that I could control. Yes. So I started putting either the things that I was going to do that week, yes, or things that I already accomplished, because I'm more of, I don't know about you, but I have realized that I'm more of like afterwards, and I will go back and put what I did for the day, not before, where I have to put where I need. That gives me anxiety. If I put it before, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this. How about you?
Absolutely. So I wanted to point something out. So something that helped me along my journey was realizing anxiety is fear of the future. Depression is regretting the past.
Yes.
Where our joy and our happiness is always in the present. But our bodies, in terms of anxiety, want to protect us. And so when we have panic attacks, anxiety attacks, general anxiety, it's fear of what's coming, real or imagined. It's fear of what may happen, real or imagined. And our nervous systems were wired and developed hundreds of thousands of years ago. Our technology and our culture is moving so fast that our bodies are not geared for it. So we were wired to be afraid of predators, of a flood, of, what's that crackling, what's that crackling in the bush? Is that a lion coming to get me? That's how we were set up. And so that's how our body responds. But now we don't have that so much. Most people don't, but we have, the stressful boss, the nagging spouse, fear of finances, problems with children, problems with in-laws, COVID alone. Like it's shocking to me how I feel like we got through it. Some of us, we lost people. A lot of us were sick. We got through it. Now we're just trying to pretend like everything's okay. But it changed everything. It changed everything. The world over went through a collective trauma for 3 years. And so your body, when it's having that response, is trying to protect you. It's misguided self-love. And so as at least Westerners, at least for me, as an American, I always wanted to push it away, push it down. Your cognitive portion of your brain, your frontal lobe, your prefrontal cortex is telling you, I'm sitting at my desk. Everything's fine. I have my coffee cup. I have my iPhone. What's the problem? I'm okay. I'm okay. But it doesn't matter because it's a different part of your brain, the primordial brain, that's trying to protect you, that is being triggered by something. And so that's why I say you start with listing out your triggers, because it's the part of when you're telling yourself, I'm okay, it's a different part of the brain. It's our more ancient brain that is responding. And the prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain, that's the cognition, the CEO, that gets pushed aside. Because I'll tell you, what saves you in, say, a true threatful situation is not this. It's the primordial brain. It's the older part of the brain. It's the part of the brain that protects us from the snap of the twig in the forest, thinking it's a bear or a lion or a tiger. And so trying to logically say, why am I freaking out? This shouldn't be, doesn't work. It also leads to shame. It also makes you feel bad, right? Francie, did you experience that? Did you feel shame around your anxiety?
Oh yeah, I just got rid of shame not too long ago. I
Oh,
got
good for
rid
you.
of
I'm still
anxiety
working on it.
first, then it was shame, because shame is it's linked to trauma. So I had guilt, shame, and responsibility that didn't belong to me, which gave me a lot of anxiety. But just because of that feeling of overwhelm, I can't. Like, I know that nobody volunteers for anxiety, but the panic attack like really messed me up because of the shame, because
Yeah,
you shouldn't be acting that way. And when
right.
it hit me on my job, where that anxiety is showing off as anger or whatever, then it was like, that's a no. That's when it was time to call a professional help. So yes, I could totally relate to
Yeah.
the
So
shame.
not only do you feel like crap through the anxiety or panic attack or just general worry, feels horrible,
Mm-hmm.
then you feel bad about feeling horrible, that that there's something wrong with you, that this shouldn't be happening. Well, guess what? It is happening. There's a reason that it's happening, and you can address it. And you don't need to feel bad about it. And I'll tell you, if I could, there's so many people dealing with stress and anxiety these days, almost like a pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
almost epidemic, just like we dealt with COVID. And it makes it really hard to live life. It makes it really hard to enjoy life. It gets in the way of everything. For me, it got in the way of my relationships, my friendships, my social schedule, my trying to find a mate, my work, and just feeling like crap, just like trying to get through the day without feeling badly about myself. It's no way to live.
Nope. So how do you help your clients?
I do a course called Serenity School. It's a
Oh, I
10-week
like that.
group
I'm
coaching.
already.
Yeah.
I like that name.
Yeah, it's a 10-week course, and it's a group coaching course, and I guide people through the things that I taught myself, the program that I basically created for myself in order to get my life back. And we list out all of our stresses, we cover nutrition, we go through different techniques and tools. And there's never going to be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I can impress to the audience, like, if you're dealing with stress and anxiety, there's many ways to deal with it: mind, body, spirit. So you list out your stresses, you deal with your nutrition, you exercise, you meditate, you pray. And then there's specific tools that I teach in the program that get like farther and farther into what's really going on in the head. What are you afraid of? And that's kind of a longer process. We can't really cover it on the podcast, but I address it in a mind, body, spirit approach, because we're not just one of those. We're not just a body, we're not just a mind, we're not just a spirit, we're all of them. And this affects all of them.
I love that. Is there anything else that you would like my listeners to know about you or your mission?
Well, if you want to know more, if you want access to my number one tool that I teach in my course. You can sign up for my newsletter and you'll get an immediate access to a video tutorial. It's an amazing tool. I didn't invent it, but I do teach it. And it's fast, it's easy, it's simple. You can teach it to your friends and family. Before I was officially doing anxiety and stress management coaching, I was forcing this on people. That's when I knew I had to be a coach, is that I was constantly forcing what I knew onto my friends and family. And they're like, all right, enough. I'm like, no, but this really helped me. And I want to help you. And I've always wanted to help heal the world. You know, I was a massage therapist and an energy healer before this for 12 years. So, you know, I know a thing or two about relaxation, and this tool is amazing. So go to suzyhardy.com, SUZYHARDY.com, sign up and you'll get the tool. And if you feel like you need some stress management and anxiety coaching, you can sign up for a free chat with me and we can see if it works for you.
I love that. And once again, your mission is so needed just because of like, I think about myself 7, 8 years ago. And like, I wish I had known, what I know now. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for your mission.
my pleasure. I don't want other people to suffer like I did for 30 years.
Wow. Yeah, I get it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and having this conversation with me.
It's my pleasure, Francie. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Life with Francy podcast. You can find it in all major platforms as well as my YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. And if you like it, then you can leave a review, please. Anyways, hope you have a blessed day.
You too.